Hi guys, Scott Woodward to talk about the Newcastle Knights 2013 in the National Rugby League. And last year, look, we can forget it, they even went around last year. Coached by the living legend Wayne Bennett. His entire season and game plans would have been around one guy, Kurt Gidley, and he lost him very early in the season, and consequently the Knights just didn't recover, and they finished 12th, which is most unlike a Wayne Bennett coach team. Wayne Bennett, when he was at the Broncos, he had nearly a 64% strike rate, and of course when he was at the Dragons, he had a 65% strike rate. So last year, 24 games for 10 wins at 42% is way under Wayne Bennett, and Newcastle Knights fans can expect their team to go much better this year. This team has got much more of a Bennett look to it. I can see that he's recruited forwards that have got grunt. It's one of the toughest forward packs in the NRL. Having said that, I think they lack players in the side that can make a break and be dangerous, but it's a very tough forward pack. We're going to talk a little bit about their pack and why I think they're going to have some problems in the forward pack when we go through the players. Just before we go into their top 13 in depth, let me remind you that you can get a free copy of the NRL ebook and also the AFL ebook if you just go down to the www Champion Profits Join Me link, just down and click on it, and you can just download it free of charge. I think you'll find it excellent reading, and it'll help you a lot with your selections if you're in the Supercoach and all those type of competitions. There's a lot of information in there that I think will surprise you. On Newcastle, I just want to just quickly touch on their side. Firstly, Darius Boyd, he will be the fullback, and I thought he come very good in the second half of the season last year. He started off slowly, but he found his feet at Newcastle, and I thought he was one of the bright lights for the club. Akila Uate is clearly, he's one of the best wingers I've ever seen play the game. I know he has some problems with a high ball and in defence sometimes, but I don't think I've ever seen a better attacking winger. He's just an absolute superstar. I know he's under pressure to go to rugby union, but gee, let's hope the Knights can keep him there, and we see plenty of him in years to come. You just go and watch them play, just to see him play. He's just a thrill. Tamata Tahu is a coach's favourite. He'll be one of the centres along with Dane Gagai, I would think. Interesting that Tamata Tahu played some lock forward in the Indigenous game, and he's certainly big enough and strong enough to play lock forward. And that may very well be an option for Bennett at some stage during the year, even off the bench. And I say that because I think the Newcastle Knights forward pack lack people like Tahu who can actually make a break on the edge. They don't have any edge runners that are going to be dangerous and cause any of the opposition teams any trouble, I don't think. We'll go through that in a bit of detail in a second. Kevin Naiqama, we made him our young gun last year, and he didn't let us down. What an incredible talent he has. So Newcastle would have Uate and Naiqama as their two wingers. I don't think any team has got more exciting two wingers than those two guys, and he's come along in so much leap and bounds. I expect Naiqama to keep James McManus out for a starting position, and James McManus would go into just about any other team on the wing. That just gives you the type of depth that the Knights have got in the back line. It's a very, very good back line, very, very solid, very dangerous, and they're going to have to be dangerous because they haven't got a dangerous forward pack. Like most teams, the key to Newcastle is going to be their combination with their 6 and 7, what Jared Mullen has with his mate Kurt Gidley. Kurt Gidley, as we said, was injured last year, and he's back, and he will be the captain. Now, given that there's an early injury to Danny Buderus, and we don't expect him back for round 3, I'm going to be interested to see what Bennett does with his starting 9. Is he going to start with Gidley, or is he going to start with the young gun who will have a massive regard for, Adam Clydesdale? Will he take a risk and play an unknown kid at the starting 9 position? I'm not sure. I certainly would. I'd have a crack at doing it, only because it keeps the 6 and 7 intact. I know he has an option to play Tyrone Roberts at 7 with Gidley, like he did last year. And while Tyrone Roberts actually did very well, and he's a very good hole runner, he's not the organiser. And you know, while Kurt Gidley and Jared Mullen aren't guys that really are that comfortable with running a team, they're both massive talents, and to have them two together, I think they complement each other, particularly with Gidley on the right and Mullen on the left. Newcastle's biggest problem to me is, like a lot of clubs, they don't have an out-and-out on-field general who can really organise. But as the bonus, they have got two very experienced halves in Mullen and Gidley is a very good talker, and I think that will help a lot. But he's still not the guy who you want when you're down on your try line, and you need to know whether you're going to go right, left, do a grubber kick or do a bomb. And they seem to have trouble in knowing what to do in that right area. And they finished near the tail in the NRL in stats last year with getting down near the try line and not being able to convert it into a try. So 15th out of 16th they finished last year in Newcastle in that area, and that's what separates the men from the boys. That's why teams like the Storm and North Queensland Cowboys do very well. Once they get there, they know how to convert it into a try. That was a big problem that the Knights had last year. They couldn't do that. And while I think they'll do a lot better with a fit Kurt Gidley this year, he's still not the man to run the team, and neither is Mullen. So they need to find that guy. You know, I don't know whether Kurt Mann was the guy they let go. I don't know if he was going to be that man, but I haven't seen anyone at the Knights who's going to be the on-field general that they need to win a premiership with at the moment. Time will tell. I'm sure Wayne Bennett is very conscious of that fact. Look, we talked about Danny Buderus. He has been injured. And he's had some work done, and he's not going to be back evidently till round 3, which creates an opportunity for Newcastle, but also a problem. Certainly Danny Buderus is a wonderful talker and a co-captain there with Gidley, and he's great for any team, but he's not fast. And you know, when you've got a team, a forward pack that are not going to make a lot of breaks, and you've got a slow hooker, that's not good for Newcastle, you know, and I'd like to see somebody like an Adam Clydesdale, or even maybe if Tyrone Roberts can play 9, I don't know, but at least Tyrone Roberts has got some speed. Newcastle lacks speed in a lot of key areas, and so what structure Bennett is going to pick up, I don't know. But let's have a look at some of these forwards, and you can see they have a Wayne Bennett look and feel. Well, we're talking about Mason, Costigan, Bo Scott, who he's grabbed from St George, and Jeremy Smith, who he also had at St George. Those 4 guys, Mason, Costigan, Scott and Smith, are all noted tough guys. And Bennett clearly wanted Grunt back into this side, and that's what he's recruited, and that's what he's got. I don't know, Chris Houston played every game last year, and I don't know if there will be a starting spot for him in this new look Newcastle Knights forward pack. But, you know, I have to say, while these guys have got Grunt, I don't see a lot of these guys making a break and running 20 metres. They're not that type of guy. Even Bo Scott, who's not a big guy, he's more there for defence than he is attack. And he doesn't, when he gets the ball, you don't go, oh, Bo Scott's got the ball. And as wonderful a player as what Jeremy Smith is. And he had a wonderful season for the Sharks, and he went terrific for St George, and he's been wonderful for New Zealand. He's still not the guy that's going to bust tackles and make breaks, and they don't have anyone who's going to be handling the edges for them there. He'll come on and run on the edges, and that's why Bennett may want to have a Tahu off the bench and come on and do that. They had a crack in the Indigenous game, and I'm sure Bennett was there in that game, and he would have been very interested to see how he went, and maybe that was the trial. But just looking at what they've got and who they've got, Chris Houston will certainly be one of the guys that will be in contention. David Falongo is another one of those tough guys that I talked about. He hits the line very hard and is a tough guy. So there's tough guys all over the place in this side. Adam Cuthbertson is a guy who can offload, and I think he's got to be there somewhere. They need second phase play, and they need to keep their forwards going. You can't just keep hitting the ball up and then do a quick play of the ball. Mitchell Frey is a guy who I have a high opinion of. I'm looking forward to seeing his progress under Bennett this year. Matt Hilda is a guy that could come on and replace Danny Buderus while he's gone. He's very experienced, and Bennett likes that type of guy, a Matt Hilda guy who can put in good minutes and doesn't make a lot of errors. But you know, Matt Hilda is no well better. A handy club player. Interesting to see what he's going to do with him. To me, the most interesting thing for me, what Bennett is going to do, They've got BJ Lulia from the Roosters, and he played centre, and he played on the wing, but he's a big giant of a guy, and he played a lot of second row in his junior days, and he's built like a second rower. Now, he may very well be the answer to Bennett's problems to have off the bench, and if he's been trialling in the back row, he could be the guy to come in and run off the edges for the Newcastle Knights. So I'm going to be fascinated in these early rounds what Bennett does with his configuration. Obviously, no one knows what to do better than him. He's coached 7 grand finals, had 7 teams in the grand final for 7 wins. That just shows you how he knows how to switch players on and how players respond to his coaching tactics. I personally, looking at the list, I don't like the forward pack. It's not a forward pack that I like, but it's a forward pack that obviously Bennett has massaged to suit his coaching style, and if he's done that, you can't knock that. He's just a superstar, as I said, a living legend. Ethan Cook is a guy who's got talent. I think will be in contention. Robbie Roscoe, we saw a bit of him last year. Corbin Sims, one of the young guns for the Newcastle Knights. They'll be hoping that this is his breakout year. He's been around now for a couple of years and got a bit of experience under his belt. Corbin Sims is a guy that the Knights will be hoping will go very well. Alex McKinnon had a good year last year, and I think he's a good player. I would have no problems having him off the bench. Marvin Filippo, we saw him last year. No world beater. And Anthony Quinn is one of those great club guys who's come back home to Newcastle that Bennett can play on the wing. He can play him in the centres, and like he did a couple of times for the Storm, they threw him into the forwards as well, because he's got plenty of ticker and he takes the ball up hard. So a handy pick up Anthony Quinn if there's any injuries. But look, I'm sure that Newcastle Knights will be doing better than their 12th position last year. Whether or not that will take them into semi-finals and they can make it into the top 8, I don't know. It's going to come down to Jared Mullen and Gidley and Badiris, and if they can get that combination going with Darius Boyd. You'd have to say, simply because Bennett is at the helm, that they will be playing semi-final football. I don't want to back them to make the 8, but I also don't want to lay them not to make the 8 either. I think they're going to be competitive every time they go around, as Bennett sides always are. They always play the 80 minutes. You never know when they're dead, and I don't think this side will be any different. Interested to see how some of their recruits go. And I can tell you one thing for sure: when teams play Newcastle, they know that they'll be in the game, because they've got a wonderful home record, and with the grunt that Bennett has put into this side, the teams that will play them, they probably won't be backing up too well the next week. Look, there is for me. Good luck for you if you're a Knights follower. I think you'll have an interesting year. Looking forward to see how it progresses. Cheers.